Hey guys, it's Delisa, and I'm going to do a vocal analysis on Miss Martha Wash. I just wrote down a few things about her. If you've never heard her, you probably have heard her. She did a lot of things from the 70s. I mean, even up until today, but she was mostly active between the 70s and the 90s. She did a lot of background singing. She was in her own groups. She did her own solo projects. So you have most likely heard her. Her amazing voice. Particularly It's Raining Men, and there's a lot of other hits that she had out there. She was more in the dance genre. So anyway, Martha Wash. I feel like she's honestly one of the best voices on the planet. I feel like she's a dramatic soprano. And I say that because, well, first of all, she's one of the best voices on the planet, because once you've heard her, you'll see that. She really is. But I feel like she's a dramatic soprano because singing just comes so easily to her. Her mid-register is so overtly powerful. It's like way louder than it looks. She doesn't even look like she's putting a whole lot of effort into being loud or being powerful. It's just there. The voice just pops out, and it's just meaty, and it's beautiful, and it's free, and it's just there in your face. And then you hear, as she ascends higher in her register, let's say above a D sharp 5, it just gets more beautiful, and it just feels even freer as it gets higher. Her voice never at any point feels strained or constricted. It always just has this freeness, and it just seems to blossom as she goes up through her range. So that's why I would call her a dramatic soprano, because I feel like her voice blossoms as she ascends in her range. And I feel like her mid-range is so powerful that it's not that of a typical soprano. What were my notes that I had? I feel like what makes voices beautiful what make them appealing is connectedness. When you feel that connection to the breath, I mean, just think of any other instrument. When you hear a flute, when you hear a violin, what makes them sound that virtuoso is when they can do like, when it all sounds like it's being connected to one breath, and it's just kind of twirling, like the Disney movies when you see the wind go. That's the feeling that you want to have when you're singing, and she definitely has that. While she's doing that, she also has a magnificent amount of power. And here's the thing: a lot of people have power when they're singing, but they don't have that connectedness. So that connectedness brings grace to the power. So it's like you're powerful, but there's also this element of it sounds so graceful. She makes it sound so easy. It's easy to listen to. It sounds beautiful. Her transitions aren't rough. It's all connecting. It sounds effortless. That's that connection to the breath. And like I said, that's something that a smaller voice like Janae Aiko can do, or Janet Jackson can do. But when you couple it with how powerful her voice is, a lot of times powerful voices have problems with that because they're so heavy that they start to feel weighed down, and the vibrato can get heavy, and so sometimes that can affect intonation, sometimes that can affect placement. But she managed to have a forward, high, bright placement with a powerful voice that stayed connected. Yeah, and then the other thing about her voice is, again, I guess it goes back to that connectedness. The way that she eases in and out of her head voice, and her head voice is also very brilliant. What a lot of times when people have super powerful voices like hers, what ends up lacking is the head voice. Think Alicia Keys. She's always belting in her mid-register, so there's really not a whole lot left of her upper range at all. That's something she would have to develop and just kind of reteach herself how to sing all over again. But here's somebody with a super powerful belt and can belt, you know, pretty much her entire register. And then when she does flip into head voice, it's super brilliant. It's not like, ah, but it's like, ah. And not a lot of people that are that agile in their belt voice can also be that agile in their head voice. And to top it off, what people are going to love about her voice is you have all this power, but your voice is actually still beautiful. Not a lot of singers have that. One singer that I know that has this combination is, of course, Whitney Houston. She has that combination of power, agility, versatility, and beauty, and that connectedness. You know, not a lot of singers have that combination of things. So that's something that Marcia has, and I feel like that's why she was so successful. When you have that kind of combination, you can pretty much do anything that you want to do with your voice. So I can see how she was able to be a great session singer, and then people probably saw how it was just a robbery to keep a voice like that in the background and allowed her to be in front at a time when, you know, the way she looked wasn't necessarily what people would deem as marketable, but there's no denying that that voice needed its own platform. I listened to something of her from 2013. I would imagine that Martha Wash has to be at least 60 at this point. And I can hear that her voice is losing a little bit of its brilliance. I mean, you know, it's to be expected. You know, her voice is losing a little bit of its brilliance, but she still has such a command over her voice. And that leads me to something, because when it comes to singers like Mariah Carey or like an Alicia Keys, even a Whitney Houston, God rest her soul, a lot of people listen to those voices and they say, well, the reason why there is such an obvious decline, or Christina Aguilera, well, she sounds declined because she's older. There's too many examples. If you listen to Lisa Fisher, you listen to Martha Wash, you listen to Patti LaBelle, Celine Dion, Barbra Streisand. These are people that just took care of themselves and took care of their voices. So their voices are going through a natural decline now, where it just loses its kind of brilliance, its youthfulness. And that's to be expected once you're kind of over 50, 55. You know, that's to be expected. But it's not this dramatic just takeaway of the voice. So I really want you all to understand the difference in a decline of a healthy voice and what happens when you abuse your voice. So there's definitely a difference in the way that happens. So yeah, that's my vocal analysis for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.